Alrighty, everybody, this is Jared and Stacy from Ghoster Coasters, and today we're doing a park battle. Heads up, we're going to do Cedar Point versus Kings Island. We're going to talk about the coaster lineups, some theming. We're going to go over operations inside the park.
The gift shops, fast lanes.
Yeah, we're going to touch on everything, but we're going to do this in segments. So today, you're going to be watching our coaster segment. We're going to be talking about all the different coasters at each park. We're going to tell you which ones we like better, which ones we think are outdated or they could maybe get rid of at the end of the video here. So stay tuned because we have a lot of fun content coming. We're excited to share with you guys, and we're going to move on to our first segment. Alrighty, so on to the Giga Coasters. Cedar Point and Kings Island both boast great Giga Coasters, but there is an internal debate on which one is the best in Ohio. So what are you thinking about this?
So I understand with Millennium being the OG of the Giga Coasters and having respect for it and everything, but I like Orion better.
I'm the same way. I think Orion's a smoother ride, and I know a lot of people don't agree with this, but like Millennium Force has been getting a rattle lately, and you guys can
Yeah.
deny it all you want, but you can hear it while you're
Yep.
on it, and you can feel it. And I don't know, to me that definitely takes away from it, and there's really not that much airtime experience on Millennium. It just goes really fast and turns sometimes. So I'm more Team Orion here because
Yep.
it's got a wave turn, it's got a little bunny hill airtime, and then it's got the little pop before you go into the brake run. So for me,
I like the restraints better on Orion as well.
I am actually against you on that. I am an Intamin T-Bar fan. Those are some of the best restraints, I think. They're the hydraulic pressure ones. They're not clicks, and I mean, you can really utilize those ones properly, I think. I don't like the clicks. I believe they're class 5 restraints, but I could be wrong there. But I definitely like the hydraulic ones more. I like those ones way more than, say, like on Mavericks. I don't like those Intamin restraints.
Yeah,
So.
not at all.
But the B&M clamshells I've come around to. But overall, I'm going to go ahead and say Orion is the better Giga Coaster in Ohio, and a lot of people are going to disagree with that. So let us know in the comments what you think, and what are you thinking on that? Is that...
I agree with you 100%. From the first time that I rode Orion, I was right there. Like, it is better than Millennium, and I mean, I felt bad about saying it, but to me, it's better than Millennium.
Millennium Force used to be my favorite coaster growing up, everybody. So I'm just being very clear here. I have a nostalgic passion for it.
Yeah.
I'm going with Orion. It's the smoother ride. It is more thrilling. You lose your stomach on it. And that first drop, honestly, is great there. I don't really lose my stomach too much on Millie's first drop, but I do gray out in the bank to overturn.
Yes.
But on Orion, it's just a much smoother experience, and I lose my stomach more. So that's where we are with the Giga Coasters. Team
Yep.
Orion.
We're moving on to the hyper coasters now, and we have Diamondback, which is my favorite. And then we have
Magnum, which is my favorite. So we got a contradicting opinion here, and I'm going to let her tell you why Diamondback is her favorite, and I'm going to go off after.
I really, really like Diamondback. I lose my stomach on it every single time. It is a much smoother ride, I think, than Magnum. Yes, it has a rattle, but it is still smoother. I do not come out with bruised thighs where I do sometimes on Magnum. And I'm not going to lie, I do like Magnum, but Diamondback is a better thrill to me.
So I'm going to go ahead and say that Diamondback is a great ride, offers amazing floater airtime, and I'm going to leave it there. Because Magnum is ejector airtime the whole run back, the return run. If you sit in rows 2, 5, 8, 11, 14, or 17, your thighs do not get busted up because you are off the wheels. It is a fantastic roller coaster. It has passed the test of time, offers more airtime than Diamondback, and everyone wants to say, oh, it's rougher. Yeah, Diamondback's a little smoother, but you're also getting your head rattled the whole entire time. So, I'm going Team Magnum. I'm at over 125 rides on it the last 2 years, so everybody knows Magnum is my favorite coaster, and if you're complaining about it, just read the sign when you get up on the platform. At the very bottom, it says, all the health things and whatnot, but at the very bottom, it says, elderly guests cannot ride. So if you think Magnum's too rough, that's all I have to say.
I will say this. I don't think it's too rough. It had its moments in the beginning of the season, and I learned not to put the bar down far and everything else, and now it's a lot better for me. But Diamondback's still my favorite.
They're both great coasters.
Yes.
Let's just say that. If you're in Ohio, go ride both of them because you're not going to regret it at the end of the day.
So, we are going to move on to the racing coasters, and I am going to send Jared here on his way to his favorite coaster.
So, we're going to talk about the racer here first because I know that is one of my favorite rides. Now, it's not something I would rank in the top 10, guys. Let's be clear here. But it is one of my favorite rides to go to sit on the loading queue, listening to all the throwback music, especially when they're playing Beatles and Revolution as you're strapping in and getting ready to go and getting your lap bars set. It's one of the best rides for me experience-wise. I have so much fun on it, and while you can't clap hands like you can on Gemini and whatnot, I just think the racer is so much more fun. It's a great wooden coaster. It's a classic. You got the PTC trains on it. And again, if you sit off the wheels, it is a phenomenally smooth ride. You see all those sights throughout the park. You look over and you see Diamondback in the distance. You see Orion next to you. So I personally love the racer. I think it's one of the best experiences you can have at a park. And if you're looking at it because it's an old wooden coaster thinking I shouldn't ride this, they recently retracked it and they're doing more retracking right now, guys. So that's going on in this off season right now. So make sure you get a ride on the racer. It's one of the best rides, and I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
So, I will say I do like the racer. It was definitely a lot smoother this summer, but I have a lot of heart for the Gemini. It was one of my first coasters. Yes, I am older than it, so I got to see it open. I remember when they had DJs in the lines and all that fun stuff, but I really do like the Gemini a lot. I like the aspect where you can actually see everybody that you're racing with. You can do the hand claps or the dollar pass, as some people do now. It is hyped up when they do have the right crew up there and they get you into the mood to race. So I like the Gemini most. I have a lot of childhood memories on it. But I will agree with him. Racer is a great racing coaster too.
Let me just be clear. I rode Demon Drop as my first ride, but Gemini was the first coaster that my mother took me on. So I love Gemini as well, but...
And let me throw in this. As far as beautiful views, you do have a great view of Magnum off of Gemini, and that is your favorite coaster.
Indeed it is. Moving on to the Inverts. We are not fans of Inverts. How do you feel about Inverts?
I am not a fan of the Inverts, but if I had to choose, I'm going to go with Banshee.
Banshee all day. Raptor was a phenomenal ride back in the day. I used to be able to re-ride that ride at will. I used to run in the line for it all the time, and it used to be the first ride I would ride every single day.
Yep.
But that thing, it's a little intense. Honestly, I'm more airtime centric as far as a coaster rider. I love that, and I love the rough feeling. So like Magnum, the Beast, wooden roller coasters in general, it kind of feels like a wild, out of control ride. So Inverts don't really do much for me, though I will say Banshee is really fun. You get up to the top, you hear the scream. It's a smooth, comfortable ride, but it still leaves me a little dizzy. I can re-ride Banshee, though. You can re-ride Banshee, too.
I could re-ride Banshee, absolutely.
Yeah, we've done it a few times, and some people say it's more intense than Raptor, but I think the way Raptor whips you around and the way you come into those brake runs, the mid-course and the final brake run after the double helix, it's just incredibly hard for you to not be dizzy at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm definitely going to... I mean, look, Raptor looks great when you're walking in.
Oh,
when
yeah.
you're walking by and you see this flying through and you see people kicking the sky, I mean, yeah, it's a great visual.
Absolutely, it is.
Going with Kings Island's lineup there, though, it's newer. Raptor was built in the 90s. Banshee was introduced in the mid-2010s, so it's like... I'm going with Banshee all the time. It's a smoother ride. It's got the smoother or the more comfortable restraints. We're going with Banshee at Kings Island over Raptor. Alrighty, moving on to the aero-suspended coasters. Both parks offer phenomenal aero-suspended coasters. A great piece of history here, but one of them definitely has the more thrilling version of it. And I'm going to go ahead and let my mom talk about that because we both agree here. This is a simple one for us.
The Bat. It is much more thrilling than Iron Dragon. It has more whip to it. It's not rough. I really, really do enjoy that one for a suspended coaster. I know you enjoy it as well.
Oh, yeah. The Bat is one of my favorite ones, and we're going to give you guys a fun fact here. It is not the original Bat at Kings Island.
No.
They built a Bat back in the early, I believe, what was it, 80s that they
Yes.
built 1981, they built the original bat, and Arrow at the time did not have the banked corners to it, and there was a ton of problems, even with the lift hill connecting to the trains. So the bat at Kings Island right now is technically the second bat that they had, and it was named Top Flight or Top Gun Flight or whatever
Yeah,
before it
something like
was
that.
the bat. So these are both great coasters, but Iron Dragon's more of a scenic one, definitely more of a family ride.
Yes.
The Bat is one that is still a family ride, but it's a little scarier for most people. It definitely has
more
some whip
intense.
to you. It's a little bit taller, and I mean, honestly, it's more fun for me. I lose my
Yeah,
stomach on
I
that
love
one.
it.
Iron Dragon, I just ride to see the park at Cedar Point and the creek.
I'm willing to walk back there for it.
Yeah, definitely. If you're gonna ride the Bat, just know you're walking about a mile back, and you're walking under bridges and everything. It's in a weird spot.
So now we are on to drop towers, which is my favorite part of it because I don't know why I like to free fall and I'm afraid of heights. But my favorite drop tower is at Kings Island. Power Drop just has that oomph to it. It's my knees go to my chest every time I ride it. It's a beautiful view. I love, love, love it compared to Cedar Point's.
Yeah, as far as Power Tower goes, they could get rid of that thing. They could rebuild a new drop tower, and I think everybody would be pleased. As far as I'm not even going to dive into operations yet. We're going to get into that in the next videos, but like.
Right.
The cycle time on Power Tower is just ridiculous. And you don't even free fall the whole way. So it's not even comparable. The drop tower, you literally feel like you're gonna slam into the ground. You start to question halfway through the fall if the brakes are actually gonna start, and like that's fun for me. I personally really enjoy the drop tower at Kings Island more. As you spin going up, you get a whole 360-degree view of the park, and I mean the capacity on that thing, they're similar if they're running all the towers at Cedar Point, but drop a comment down below if you've seen Power Tower running all four once this season. I mean,
I haven't seen it run a four in a couple seasons.
They're always running one shot, one drop, and if you're lucky, two shots and a drop, or two drops and a shot. But I haven't seen all four of those running in quite some time. So it's a hands down one for me. This is going to be the drop tower at Kings Island. Easily over Power Tower, but you should still ride both of them. They're both fun experiences nonetheless.
Oh, yeah,
but
definitely.
You get better views on the drop tower too, guaranteed. When you're sitting inside Power Tower, it's cool, but you don't really want to stare at a big piece of metal that's, almost 20-something years old at this point.
Right.
You don't really just want to stare at that. So the drop tower gives you the outward experience, and Power Tower kind of gives you a cool view of the park in many different perspectives, and you get a shot too. The shot's kind of fun. You still lose your stomach a little bit on that one. It's not the same as a free fall though. And moving on to the rest of the coasters in these parks, the honorable mentions, the top tier elite coasters, the ones that we basically couldn't compare head on with other coasters. I mean, we could compare the Beast to Blue Streak or Mystic Timbers to Blue Streak, but we all know what the differences are there.
Absolutely.
We're not going to compare those ones. We're going to talk about why all of these rides are great. We're going to round out Cedar Point and Kings Islands, and my mom may even share a few rides that she wants to get rid of at the end, so stay tuned for this. The first mention that we're going to go with is the Beast at Kings Island. This is one of the best night rides in the entire world. Some people will say the Voyage at Holiday World. I have experienced the Beast at night plenty of times, and I will tell you it is one of the greatest rides I've ever been on. It just feels like you're out of control, wild, running through the woods, pitch black. You get some lights in the tunnels, and that's it. Ever since the retrack, that double helix at the end is phenomenal. I couldn't say enough great things about the Beast. If you're ever at Kings Island, go ride that thing immediately. It is one of the best coasters. It's not known for airtime, and I'm one of the airtime-centric people. Let me tell you, it's not an airtime machine.
No.
It is just fun and wild, out-of-control fun. Nothing better than that. Nothing beats the scene around it. Definitely go get yourself some rides on the Beast at Kings Island. We're going to move on to Steel Vengeance now at Cedar Point. That is just one of the top-tier rides in the world. Arguably the best ride in the world. You love that ride.
I do. I love it.
I love that ride. There's nothing better than a Steel Vengeance ride. Honestly, you get just tossed, whipped around, ejector airtime to the maximum.
It was one that scared me the first time that I rode it.
Yeah, the first time we rode it, we had to do a double back and be like, wait, what did we just do? Because that
Yep.
was one of those we hadn't been on an RMC yet, and to just step on like Steel Vengeance after not riding coasters for what 8-9 years at that point.
Oh yeah, it blew my mind.
That was the first thing we rode in almost 10 years, and I got off it wondering, like, was I afraid of coasters? Did they just get so much better? Like, what just happened?
Like,
That was one of the greatest experiences.
wow moment.
Yeah, going up that hill, I was like, uh-oh. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this, but Steel Vengeance is one of the best rides. You just go whipping through all of the structure. There's nothing that beats that. I remember when it was Mean Streak back in the day, and
Yes.
there was an old ride on it we got when the birds were flying through.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'll never forget that. I think about it every single time as you're doing all the inversions through Mean Streak's old structure, which is really cool. But now, what would you like to mention? What's one of the rides that you would love?
Well, I'm going to go and hit back on those incredible night rides, and I'm going to hit us with some Mystic Timbers.
There we go.
It is a great coaster. Once again, not a lot of airtime hills, but it's a
She's crazy.
fast-paced-
It's an airtime. It's literally known for its airtime. She's crazy there.
I don't think there's that many airtime hills. I mean, yeah, there are a few, but I think it's more or less a picturesque and more immersive type of a coaster. I really do like it. It's an awesome night ride just because of the fact that, once again, it is set in, like, the wooded area.
She's losing some of y'all because that ride is insane. It is a thigh buster. She wants to complain about Magnum being a thigh buster. That's the real thigh buster. Going down that first drop, you just run your thighs right against the metal bars. I love Mystic Timbers. It is a great ride. And hey, I mean, what's in
I
the
do
shed?
like it.
Maybe a Son of Beast.
RMC rendition.
Right,
Oh.
we're just playing here,
Yeah.
guys. We know nothing, and we're just being crazy enthusiasts. Take no stock into that at all.
That is a hope and a dream.
Right. So, Maverick at Cedar Point is one of the greatest Intamin creations of all time. It's a tiny little ride. It's not even like 200 feet like most people are like. It's a small ride. It barely gets over 100 feet.
It packs a punch.
Dude, it packs a punch. The launches are incredible. The scene is incredible. When you're sitting there in the station looking out on the lake, incredible. There's nothing that beats a Maverick ride, especially at night, too. I mean, I will complain about the restraints. They are thigh crushers, and everyone's going to be in the comments like, oh, no, Sky Rushes. I cannot stand Maverick's restraints. By the end of it, I can't even move. I don't know how people ride that comfortably. It's just not. But I will say, the hard restraints over the shoulders being gone is a great thing. I know they changed that a few years ago, or quite a few years ago now. Those were terrible. Those would knock my cranium everywhere. Was not a fan of that. Now, I'm not a fan of Cedar Creek Mine Ride, Rougarou, or Corkscrew at Cedar Point, or in Vertigo at Kings Island, and I'm in favor of just removing all of them, to be honest with you. But, crazy enthusiast talk again. What are your ideas?
Let's see. I would get rid of definitely Rougarou, definitely in Vertigo. That is one ride that I will never, ever, ever ride again.
Inverta gotta go. I would send that to the moon on a one-way trip and not care at all. We could send that to the moon or wherever. Just send it out in space, make it space dust. That ride is so bad.
It's horrible. Now, I would like to see Kings Island get, yes, one of those cookie cutter B&Ms, because we know how much I love Valraven and the dive coasters, even though it is a underrated coaster.
Okay.
It's got a little punch to it, and I would love to see something like that there. But I mean, if they didn't get a wing coaster, because I do like Gatekeeper as well.
Yeah, I'm definitely a big fan of either one of those. Let us know in the comments what you guys think they should do next. I mean, obviously, there's the Vortex plot that's sitting there. There's the old Son of Beast station. So what should they do at Kings Island, and what should they do at Cedar Point? Stay tuned, because we definitely have a plots video coming for that as well.
Yes.
This is going to be a series here, guys. We were going to do this all in one fell swoop, but comparing these parks is too in-depth, too in detail. These parks are great. There's a lot to go over, a lot to experience at these parks. Great times, honestly. You can't go wrong going to either park, basically.
And I definitely tell anybody, if it's the first time that you're going to any one of these parks, at least plan for 2 days so that you can really, truly experience these parks for everything that they have. I mean, from their choo-choo train rides and the Eiffel Tower at Kings Island and the paddle boat excursion at Cedar Point, and the fact that Cedar Point has that whole frontier adventure place that I recently found out they have some crystal rock rafts that you use that you can pull yourself across some water.
Yeah, they got some cool stuff over there.
Oh, they do. And they also have a high ground climbing course.
Right on. So, which park do you like better for your coaster lineups? Which one do you find more fulfilling when you go to coaster lineup wise?
Kings Island.
I think it's Kings Island too. They have a lot of newer versions of what Cedar Point has, and even though Cedar Point has more supporting cast, it's a lot of filler at this point. I mean, Cedar Creek Mine Ride, Rougarou, Iron Dragon, people, you can even say Magnum is outdated. I mean, there's
Gemini,
a ton of Gemini, Blue
I
Streak.
mean,
There's a
everybody
lot of
can
old
say
rides.
All of them are outdated.
And I mean, you can say the Racer at Kings Island and Blue Streak are almost as, I understand that, but the point of the matter is, at Kings Island, there's just a lot of newer versions of what Cedar Point has.
Yep.
And they all pack a punch. And I mean, they might not be as intense as, say, Maverick or Steel Vengeance, but you're still going to be able to ride them more, in my opinion. Like, when you go, you're gonna ride more at Kings Island, no matter what. Even if there's less rides to ride, you can still ride them more times. So I'm going to go ahead and say that Kings Island overall is the better coaster lineup park. They have more updated versions of the rides, and you can ride more in one day. That goes a long way.
It sure does. I go Kings Island all the way.
Definitely. So if you guys liked what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and let us know what you think in the comments below.